Hi, welcome to the video orientation for your Eagle HT 25.5 REOK by Jayco. We're going to start this tour on the outside of the trailer, and we're going to begin near the front. First, we'll take a look at your pass-through underbelly storage compartment. And in here, we'll make note of a few useful items. We have your manual crank for your spare tire, as well as the crank for your rear stabilization jacks. Also in here you'll find 120 power along with output for your cable or satellite TV. Next, we'll move just a little bit forward and we will see your battery storage compartment, and you'll notice that there's room for more than one battery. Continue along the front, making note of the physical pin. Nice loading light if needed, as well as switching for your running lights. Are all switched from right under here. Also under here, we have your safety breakaway switch. This end is attached to the tow vehicle, and in the event that the trailer becomes detached from the tow vehicle, this pin will pull out and engage the brakes on the trailer. Conversely, if you're ever going to tow the trailer and you notice that it's harder to pull than it should be, sometimes during hookup this pin can get pulled out. Also at the front, we have your pre-wired solar panel hookup and your extending and retraction for your front jacks. Inside here, we have a storage compartment and access to the motor for the jack, and on the off-door side at the front is where you'll find your double 30-pound bottle propane storage. This unit comes with a crossover regulator. What that means is, when this handle is pointing to this tank, it'll automatically draw from this tank until the pressure drops below a predetermined level, which is predetermined by the regulator and not adjustable. Once it reaches that threshold, it will automatically cross over and draw propane from this tank, irregardless of which way this handle is pointing. What that means is, if it's a cold night and you're running your furnace, no worries about having to run outside and switch over the bottles in the middle of the night. Okay, we'll come to the other access to the underbelly. And in here we'll make note that I removed this panel, 2 red Robertson screws, and in behind we will see the fill tube for your water pump. And there is the water pump itself right in here. Important to note that when using the water pump, you'll have some valves like this one here, and there should be another one over here that I might not be able to get the camera in there to see. Anyhow, those valves need to be turned in the proper position in order to draw from the proper location. So right now it is set via, I don't know if you can see it, this valve here is set to draw from the tank. In order to draw from the fill tube, you would have to turn the valve. and then it would line up with the fill tube. So you do use this if you're winterizing your trailer. Instead of pressurizing the system with water from the potable water storage tank, when you switch the valve over, it then draws from this fill tube, and it will pressurize the system with whatever liquids at the other end of the fill tube, and for our purposes, it's antifreeze. Next, we'll come to your to your 50 amp power supply. This 50 amp power supply is where you connect to shore power or power from the campground. And right above that, we have all your water connections, city water connection. We have an outside tap, as well as all your cable and satellite TV connections. Beside that, we have your black tank flush. If you hook basically your garden hose from the campground or from your house up to here, turn on the water, it will flush out your black tank. Right next to that, we have a switch for light, but then we also have alternative spot to switch your pump on and off, which makes sense. So you'll be using the antifreeze fill tube here that you can switch the pump on and off here. Also in here, we have a valve, a diverter valve that will switch between freshwater tank fill and your city water. So you can connect your garden hose to here with the handle in this position. It will draw water from the campground or your house via the garden hose and pressurize the trailer, and you can use it like you would the water in your house. In this position, with the garden hose hooked up here, you're going to put water into your freshwater tank that you can then use the pump to pump into the system to pressurize and use through your taps. However, make sure that you switch the valve in here first. All right. And right below all of this, I would make note of the output for your black and gray water tanks. And you will also notice valve handles to operate the valves are here as well. Sometimes they're tucked up and under and they're hard to find. Continue along the outside to the back. In the back, you'll notice these two stabilization jacks. They shouldn't be used to level your trailer. They should only be used to stabilize once it's mostly level. You can use the manual crank that I showed you in the underbelly to operate these jacks. We have ladder access to your roof, as well as this unit comes equipped with a rear view camera, which can be monitored remotely from your vehicle via the 12-volt plug-in in your tow vehicle. Also in this unit, we have an outside port, so you can hook a barbecue up to the unit's propane system via quick connect. Just make sure this valve is in the on position when you wish to use the appliance. Alright, we'll come around full circle to this side. Turn on the lights. Notice we have fridge access, as well as an outdoor barbecue, and a quick connect hose. This outdoor barbecue can be used via this quick connect, and there is a second outside RV port right here, same as the first. Quick connect, make sure it's open when you want to use it, and that is that. Also inside your outdoor kitchen, there's a hookup for cable and satellite TV. As we continue along, you'll see there are speakers in the skirting. These speakers can be run from the stereo inside the trailer. Also out here, underneath your awning, you will find venting for your refrigerator. Now it's important that this remains obstruction free in order for your refrigerator to operate properly. The airflow needs to be able to get in through the venting. Also, I would make note of your furnace exhaust. Now it does say that this is hot. However, I always like to make special note when it is under your awning because it does get pretty hot. We have a GFCI plug also under the awning, as well as, as well as outside access to the hot water tank. So your hot water heater has a pressure relief valve and a drain and drain plug. That if you're ever removing this drain plug to drain your hot water tank, always make sure that the pressure relief valve is activated first. Otherwise, that drain plug will shoot out of there like a rocket. Also on this side of the trailer, we have a spray port. So that does it for the tour of the outside. Let's go inside and see what we have. As soon as we get through the door, we'll notice we have a light switch, and it is a dimmer. In order to turn the lights on and off, just tap it on and off. To use the dimmer function, press and hold, and it'll dim it and then brighten it back up. You'll also notice that you have a handheld remote. Right now it's just set to a default, but you can operate lights, your slides, your awning, as well as the landing gear. However, on this particular unit, even though it lists the landing gear and rear stabilization jacks, you're actually unable to utilize these functions on this remote. It just wasn't included in this model. So don't let that do to you what it did to me. I sat here trying to figure out why the landing gear wasn't working, and that was why. Alright, we'll crouch down here and we'll take a look. We have your fire extinguisher, as well as your propane and carbon monoxide detector. It's important that we test this every so often. I usually recommend every 6 months, and that you do it with your smoke detector. And I would do it on daylight savings time, that way it's easy to remember. There's a button that you press on the front of here. It'll make a series of loud beeps, and then the light will go back to green. And when it does that, that would indicate that you are safe to be in the trailer and the system is functioning properly. Alright, we'll turn to the right here and we'll take a look at your thermostat. It's pretty straightforward. You can cycle through your fan, low, high, cool, high, low, auto, as well as heat and off. There. Pretty straightforward, and again, these will toggle the temperature up and down. Right below here we have your power center. This is where you will find your breakers like you might find in your house, and your fuses like you might find in your vehicle. Also, beside these fuses, if one is burnt out, there is a little red LED that will light up to indicate that it is burnt out. Pretty useful. Continue up the hallway. We can either access the bedroom from this door here, or we can go through the bathroom here. So as we step in, we'll turn on all your lights. You'll see this first switch does a nice little night light accent light. And then the second switch is the main lights for the trailer. And the third is this little blue accent light. As we come in, we'll see there's lots of room in the bedroom. You have a switch to control the main lights here, as well as pre-wired with power and cable access, as well as a mounting bracket position if you wish to get a TV for the bedroom. Well, over here we'll take a second to explain the emergency exit. Push down on the black tab, push the red handle over and out, and then push it all the way out of the vehicle. Once it is out, you may pull this red tab, remove the screen, and then exit the vehicle to safety. So also, just something else to note, beside the bed here we also have this charging center, which comes with a regular 120 volt power, and it also has a 12 volt connection and USB connectivity and charging capabilities. We turn right around here. We'll go out the door, close the bathroom door. Now, I want to make note that in this area here, now we could actually find it, the pre-mount for your solar connectivity, the inside portion, panel portion, is right here. The head unit goes right in this area here, which is just above the thermostat. However, obviously we would, if that was something that you chose to do in the future, then we could help you with that. So we'll continue in. Like to make note of your smoke detector. We mentioned previously that it's a good idea when checking your carbon monoxide propane detector that you do it when you test your smoke detector daylight savings time, or every 6 months. Next, we'll come down. We'll see that we have access, or the drawer is open. This would be your access point to your freshwater, to your water pump. Or sorry, not the water pump. I already showed you that. My mistake. This would give you access to the back of your hot water tank. Now, in order to remove the drawer, there's a tab here that you push up, and there's a tab on the other side that you push down. They work in the opposite direction. So whichever one's with, this one actually you push down, the other one you pull up. Then you can remove this whole drawer. I'm not going to do it because I only have so many hands. But when you do that, you can get in to access to the back of the tank, and you can change these two valves. One here, the valve handle is actually on the opposite side over here, but there's a valve here and here. If they're in line with the blue tube pointing this direction and the red tube pointing that direction, that would indicate that your tank is on bypass, which you would do when you're winterizing the trailer. However, if they are, oh, my mistake, I've got that wrong. They did this one a little differently. So, right now this is actually set up to fill the tank. If you wanted it to bypass, you would have to change the valve top and bottom so it goes in this direction and points in line with this tube here, or this piece of piping. Okay, so we'll close the drawer. Good. Having said that, if for whatever reason you feel like you would have a better access to the hot water tank from here, all of the drawers remove the same way as I showed you that this one is removed. All right. Well, we'll notice that underneath your tap here, you have some USB plugs, which is kind of handy. And we have your oven and range top. So your oven and range top, you'll have the light position and sparker and lights. You do that same thing for all three valves. When you get to the oven portion, you turn it to the light position like that, same as the burners, but then you press and hold. Once you have it in the light position, you press and hold, and then turn the sparker. And that is how you light the oven. Now, I will say that sometimes they can take a little bit to light. If that is the case, turn it off, wait a minute or two, try again. And in the meantime, while you're waiting, I would go and make sure that you actually open the valves on your propane bottles at the front of the trailer. Next, we're going to come to your refrigerator, and this operates via a on-off switch, as well as a switch to change between gas or electric. If you're on gas and you see this light up, that means there's an issue with the propane. Again, same as the oven portion. A lot of times it's either you haven't turned on the propane, you haven't opened the valves, or you just did it and there isn't enough pressure built up in the system yet to actually light. So if that's the case, it doesn't light, turn it off, wait a couple minutes, turn it back on, and it should initiate its lighting sequence again. So before I had mentioned that you could listen to your music outside on the speakers underneath your awning with the stereo inside. Well, we have finally come to the moment where you get to meet the stereo inside. This is it. So we have DVD capability, as well as an auxiliary, headphones, HDMI, and USB charging. You will also be able to use this with Bluetooth. And in order to utilize the speakers on the outside of the trailer, we use zone 1, 2, or 3. Zone 3 is usually set up for the outside. And the way these work, you can listen to any zone by itself, any two zones, any combination of any zones, either together or by themselves. Right below here, we'll drop down and give you a little look of your fireplace. It's pretty straightforward. There's a remote for it. You can cycle through, turn it on, cycle through the different temperature settings. And one of the last things we'll show you is the Dinette slide, which offers switching for these lights, as well as a dimmer up here for your dining light. Also, this table, you'll see, will prop up, and then this can be lifted out. I can't really do it with my one hand, but I promise you it does happen. It does work. You can pull this out, fold the table back down, and it actually will give you just a little bit more space if you have some company. that about does it for the tour. You can always give us a call back if I missed anything, or if you have more questions now that you've watched the video. Feel free to give us a call and we'll do our best to give you all the information that you need. Thank you.